When people imagine family loss, they usually imagine death. What they almost never imagine is sitting in a room full of people, passing plates, smiling politely, and realizing the family you miss is still alive. That kind of grief confuses people, because from the outside, nothing dramatic is happening. No funeral, no obvious scandal, no public disaster, just one quiet decision that keeps echoing through ordinary moments. Someone asks where your parents are, or why you never go home for the holidays, or why your children don't seem to know one side of the family, and you give the shorter answer, not the honest one, because the honest one is too layered for small talk. Most people don't want the real answer anyway. They want something clean, something socially convenient. They want, "We live far away," or "Schedules are complicated, so everyone can move on without discomfort." But some truths do not fit neatly into a dinner conversation. Some truths come with years attached to them. What people often misunderstand about family estrangement is this: it is usually not the first choice. It is the choice that remains after many other choices have failed. After the long drives, after the awkward holidays, after trying to say it gently, after trying to say it clearly, after trying to say nothing at all and just hoping things would somehow become easier. For a lot of people, distance from family is not born from rebellion. It comes from exhaustion, not because they stopped caring, but because caring never seemed to change anything, and that difference matters. We live in a culture that treats family loyalty like a moral absolute. Stay, forgive, keep the peace, be the bigger person. Those messages are repeated so often that many people start to believe enduring harm is a sign of character. But endurance and healing are not always the same thing. There are people who spent years showing up to rooms where they felt smaller every single time. Not necessarily hated, that would almost be easier to name, just subtly diminished, misread, interrupted, compared, judged. Loved in ways that always came with pressure attached. Maybe every visit ended with the same invisible conclusion: you are still not enough here, not successful enough, not grateful enough, not obedient enough, not the version of yourself this family finds easiest to love. And still, many people keep going back, because hope is stubborn, because when the wound is connected to home, we do not let go of it quickly. We tell ourselves, maybe next time will be different. Maybe this holiday will be calmer. Maybe this conversation will finally open something. Maybe this year they will hear me. Then one year, you don't go, or you stop calling first, or you stop explaining yourself for the 100th time. And what shocks you is not just the sadness. It is the silence after. For some people, that silence feels brutal. For others, it feels like the first full breath they have taken in years. Often, it feels like both. That is one of the hardest parts to explain: how grief and relief can exist in the same body at the same time. How you can miss someone and still know distance is necessary. How you can mourn a relationship that was hurting you. How love can remain even when contact cannot. That does not make you cold. It makes you human. Researchers who study family estrangement have found that these breaks are often not caused by one explosive event, but by repeated patterns over time. Not always one unforgettable betrayal, but an accumulation. A slow wearing down. Conversations that lead nowhere. Boundaries that are mocked. Apologies that never become changed behavior. The same wound reopening in slightly different ways. That kind of pain is difficult to defend because it rarely looks dramatic enough from the outside. One, there are no visible headlines, no obvious crime scene. Sometimes it is just the steady experience of feeling emotionally unsafe with people who insist they love you. And emotional unsafety can be subtle. It can sound like being told you are too sensitive whenever you try to speak honestly. It can look like your pain becoming a joke at the table. It can feel like every boundary being treated as disrespect. It can be the quiet message that your needs are inconvenient, your memory is unreliable, and your role is to adapt. Psychology has a name for part of this pattern: emotional invalidation. And over time, invalidation does more than hurt your feelings. It teaches you to distrust your own inner signals. You stop asking, "Does this feel healthy?" and start asking, "Am I overreacting again?" That is not a small shift. That is how people lose contact with themselves. So when someone finally creates distance, the outside world may call it harsh. But inside, say it may be the first act of honesty they have made in a very long time. Still, even when the choice is necessary, the guilt can be enormous. Because guilt has a way of showing up long after clarity does. You can know why you left and still wake up wondering if you should have tried one more time. You can understand the pattern and still feel sick on birthdays, holidays, and random Tuesday afternoons. You can remember exactly why contact was painful and still ache when you see someone who looks like your mother in a grocery store. That ache does not automatically mean your decision was wrong. Sometimes it means there was love there, or longing, or a childlike hope that never fully found a place to go. People who feel guilty are often people who cared deeply. They are not always people who abandon something lightly. Sometimes they are the very people who stayed too long because they kept trying to save it. And sometimes the guilt fades, not because the person became heartless, but because the nervous system eventually stopped waiting at a locked door. That makes sense too. Healing in these situations is rarely dramatic. Usually it looks quiet. It looks like noticing you no longer rehearse imaginary arguments in the shower. It looks like enjoying a holiday meal without bracing for criticism. It looks like making decisions without hearing an entire chorus of disapproval in your head. It looks like your body becoming less tense in places you forgot it was tense. It looks like discovering that peace is unfamiliar, but not unsafe. And maybe, most importantly, healing looks like learning that love does not have to cost your entire self. That lesson changes people. It changes the partners they choose, the friendships they trust, the boundaries they hold, the way they parent. So the way they speak to the younger version of themselves who kept begging for crumbs and calling it connection. If you are somewhere in this story, here are a few truths that may help. First, not every painful family relationship requires estrangement. Some relationships can improve with distance, structure, therapy, and real accountability. But improvement requires more than words. It requires changed behavior over time. Second, confusion is normal. If the relationship taught you to doubt yourself, clarity may come slowly. You do not have to solve your entire life in one moment to take one honest next step. Third, grief does not mean you failed. It means something mattered. And the loss of what should have been can hurt just as much as the loss of what was. And finally, peace can feel unfamiliar when chaos was your baseline. Do not mistake unfamiliar peace for emptiness. Sometimes what feels empty at first is simply a life no longer crowded by survival mode. Walking away from family is not automatically noble. Staying is not automatically virtuous. Every story has details outsiders cannot see. That is why this topic deserves more humility and less judgment. But this much is true. There are people who have spent years shrinking themselves to remain acceptable in rooms that never truly held them. And one day, they decide they cannot keep paying for belonging with their identity. That decision is rarely easy. It can be heartbreaking. It can be messy. It can be lonely. And sometimes, it can also be the beginning of a more honest life. Not a perfect life, not a painless life, but a life where your inner world is no longer constantly negotiating for permission to exist. If that resonates with you, I hope you hear this clearly. You are not weak for grieving. You are not cruel for needing peace. And you are not broken because a complicated truth takes time to understand. Some losses are not about losing people. They are about losing the fantasy that those people will become who you needed them to be. And painful as that is, it can also be the moment your real life begins. This is the quiet mindset, a place for clear thoughts, deeper healing, and the kind of self-understanding that does not need to be loud to change your life. If this spoke to something private in you, stay with us. There is more here for the part of you that is learning how to choose peace without apologizing for it.